Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Live from the GBM studios in Belize City, it's Open Your Eyes. Start your morning right with your hosts, Sabrina Daly and Isani Caetano.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I am Isani Caetano
And I'm Sabrina Daly.
and it is January 7th,
It is.
2026, a Wednesday. I gotta get used to saying 2026.
Right?
It still feels as if though in my mind I'm still programmed to say 2025.
Yeah.
But that's the year that was.
Well,
right?
you have a weekend so far, so we're going to give you at least that.
I think I
Starting
did
next
all right.
week, though, I don't think we're going to have to get used to it. It's officially here, 2026, and there's nothing we can do about it but just move along. But you're right, Isani. We are officially 1 week in. I know for a lot of us, we should be taking down our Christmas decorations right now.
That's that done gone on for
Really?
Monday.
Okay, well, that's fine. That's
I was
fine.
pleasantly surprised, actually. I was pleasantly surprised when I got home from work on Monday evening and many of the decorations were already taken down, right? And so my role in the household where Christmas decorations are concerned are to take down the tree, from the attic and all
put
the,
it back
the
up.
bells and all of those things and put it back up.
That easiest
And
part.
nobody was happier than I am when I got home and I realized, okay, I just need to go and get the ladder. So the house is back to
easiest
normal
part of
and
the
that's
job,
a beautiful
man.
thing.
No, I'm set to do the same, actually. I was hoping to save that for this weekend, but we'll see what happens.
But watch out. Open your eyes, beat us all to the punch.
I know. They did too. But apparently it's on the 6th that you're supposed to take down the decorations, or the Christmas season closes.
So yeah, actually, no.
No?
No, all right, so I just threw this in quickly.
guys, you know I'll have it up till Easter, but I'm
I'll
trying
just
to
throw
follow
this
the
in
rules.
quickly, right? So it's a season.
Uh-huh.
It's not a few days in the month of December and a day after January 1st. It's an actual season.
So when
that
does the season end?
I'll get to that part, right? So that if you look at the traditional Christmas holiday, caroling and all the songs and everything that starts making this whole festive vibe begin in November, right? I'd say after the 19th, right? Begins in November and it goes through to about mid-January, right? And that is the reason why even if you did not get a chance to see a loved one or run into a friend, up to mid-January you could still say compliments of the season or Happy New Year because it's an actual season. But when you commercialize everything, by January 2nd or 3rd, Christmas tree done come down and then you start seeing red everywhere is because everybody's already preparing for Valentine's and everything. So we end up abbreviating the whole season, cut it short because we try to keep up with the calendar. Right?
Well,
but yes, I digress.
I guess I learned something new today.
We learn something new every day, my friend. But check this out.
Yes.
This is our show lineup for this morning, right? So, first conversation, saving lives with cervical cancer awareness. Then, empowering the next generation of trade union leaders. Intentional living for personal and professional success. And finally, turning passion into performance with hip hop. Why is that something that I'm sort of excited?
I'm just so excited to see Isani bust a move. What? I heard he's going to be dancing. But Also, here's some of the things we have that we think you should know before you leave your homes this morning. Starting off with Belize debates drone safety, growth and control. Also, students question credit transfers despite UB agreement. A 5-year moratorium on extractions from national land. DJ Chris back in court in deadly crash that killed police officer. And finally, U.S. updates list of countries required to post $15,000 for visa applications. All right. Quite an interesting list there in terms of some of the interesting topics coming out of news, both locally and internationally. I think it's worthy of us starting with what was the headline last night, really. And I love the way that the story was presented because it really paints a picture of how technology has advanced, the way that we would have once seen drones flying in the sky, very few. Now it's like, you know, almost every business has a drone because it adds to the marketing, you know, or whatever other purpose. When we think of agriculture, it serves an even bigger purpose. But there may be some changes coming on the horizon where drones are concerned, Isani.
Before we get into the proposed legal framework and all of those other things, start from the basics, right?
Yeah.
You see that shot that we're looking at there? Mm-hmm. That was taken from the 3rd floor of this building.
Rooftops of
the
GBM.
Rooftop of GBM, yes, right? And the reason I'm pointing this out is because in our business, in the media business, we rely a lot on drone footage at this point because it gives us not only an aerial perspective of a particular location, but in terms of the visual presentation of a story, it also adds value.
Times have changed. People want more shots.
Yes. But when we look at operating a drone in an urban space, like Belize City, for instance, right? Because of a thing called geofencing, right? If you've operated a drone or you've been around someone who operates a drone, the Chinese manufacturer, mass manufacturer of drones, the brand is DJI, right? They had implemented a thing called geofencing, which means that you cannot fly or operate the drone in a specific area. So for instance, right, the Barrybowen Municipal Airstrip is not far
Off
away.
limits, yeah.
The Carl Houston Memorial Hospital is right next door, and so on and so forth. So geofencing essentially limited or restricted the operator from being able to fly into certain sensitive areas.
So what happens if you attempt to fly it in those areas?
Okay, you wouldn't get the signal to be able to operate the drone, right? But as of January 1st, DJI removed geofencing. So technically, you're able to fly
anywhere.
That's just a small part of the issue at hand, right? Primary issue here is that the Department of Civil Aviation is saying, look, we need to start regulate this thing. You can't fly a drone all willy-nilly anywhere you want.
Yeah.
There are aircrafts that are operating in the airspace, both at the PGIA, at the Sir Barrybowen, and the other aerodromes across the country, right? So we need to bring this thing into some kind of order. And apparently, a call for input from stakeholders was made a while back.
Like consultations, right?
Yeah, right? So they're opening it up for public discussion as to how they should go about doing this thing. And in the mix of it all, we realize that there are a lot of stakeholders in this industry, this growing industry.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier agriculture, right? In 2024, when I was looking back at coverage of stories that we've done where there were handing overs, right? For instance, PACT handed over several drones last year. The Ministry of Agriculture did drone training and all of these things, right? Where they were preparing Belizeans to be able to operate these unmanned aerial systems.
Look at that.
No, they're saying, look, yes, we have all of the drones out there, but we need to have some kind of order with this thing so that we look at aviation safety first and foremost. And of course, the legal framework that will kind of bring everything into the fold.
So could we pause just for a second here? I just want to follow as clearly as possible. Is this all because of the drone fencing?
No.
No.
I just put the geofencing part
geofencing,
there at the beginning, but this has to do with regulation. That's how.
So this was going to happen anyway.
Yes, because the Department of Civil Aviation has to bring everyone in line with all the existing standards, regionally, globally, etc. Right? And so this is just a part of it. So last night now, we aired this particular piece, and almost immediately after, there was an emergency meeting with stakeholders to see what the input would be and what have you. Now, one of the critical questions that I posed to the Director of Civil Aviation, Nigel Carter, yesterday was, so if they don't have a collective agreement, if there's not consensus, what happens next, right? In other words, if all of these stakeholders amongst themselves agree, well, we're not upon that, we're not there with this thing, so what's going to happen? Because a law still has to be put in place, right? So the operational directive is what we would call the precursor to the actual law, right? So this is telling you that this will come under these conditions and this particular guideline. But it's interesting.
Yeah.
You know why? Because kids get drones for toys, for gifts, sorry, right? You have real estate agents who operate drones, land surveyors, well, real estate and land go together.
Yeah. Cinematography companies.
Production houses, right?
Yeah.
And it encompasses the media as well,
Yeah.
right? If you look at geographic information systems, what we call GIS, right? How these people go out into a particular area and do the mapping so that they could put it on Google, and all of these they're using drones to do that.
Yes.
Right? So again, like I said, this is all about bringing everyone into the fold under one particular guideline that says this is how you ought to operate a drone in Belizean airspace. And one of the interesting things that Nigel Carter pointed out yesterday is that Belize is different than states, right? When you get in an aircraft in the United States and you lift off straight to 30,000 feet, how many times you look around Belize City and the plane not too far?
Yeah, we could see a lot for a while. We're hovering for a minute. But
Yeah.
I worry that there may be a lot of frustrations coming out of these companies that utilize these drones as well, because as you mentioned, it's more than just media companies. You know, we see in spaces like agriculture.
Yeah.
I wonder if there will be more permits perhaps involved now, and it's going to frustrate the process.
I wouldn't use frustration. I would say concerns.
Okay.
Right? Because at this point, it's not to say that you can't fly a drone or you can't do this or there are too many strictures in place. I wouldn't say frustration. I would say a lot of concerns are being raised. In other words, questions need to be answered. And when they look at this 88-page document, from what I understand, right? Because a few weeks ago, and I'll call names, but it is what it is. A few weeks ago, Will Moreno, a well-known photographer in and around Belize, brought this thing to our attention. And he referred to a document that was in circulation for stakeholders to peruse and understand what is in this particular thing. And at the end of it all, he was saying, look, man, I got way more questions. So every point that is presented in this document, there's a question.
Yeah.
The document is all of 88 pages, right? So you could imagine how many questions have arisen as a result of what is being proposed.
So we have consultations taking place. An emergency meeting was held yesterday.
Yeah.
What happens next? What's the most immediate step that we can expect in terms of following what this is?
That's an excellent question. Admittedly, the follow-up for that will be done today to find out how that meeting went and what, if anything, they agreed upon going forward.
I imagine there will also be some stricter guidelines in terms of if any person would violate these boundary lines. You know, I imagine there's steep penalties for that.
Yeah, there ought to be penalties for it, right? So there's a thing called an unmanned aerial system, which is the drone. Then there are manned aircrafts, which are pilots in an aircraft flying, right? And so the priority is primarily on manned aircrafts because of tourism, right? So that's one of the primary elements in all of this thing, right? Our arrivals by aircraft, that has to be protected. Cannot Belize bread and butter for the most part, right? So you can't operate in a system where A for D.
Yeah.
That's the long and short of it.
All right. Well, we'll definitely be following this. And I think it would be interesting to hear some of your thoughts tuning in. If you operate drone systems, whether for just pleasure to, showcase your creativity and shots, or if you have a business that you rely on drone footage or usage of drones as well. Do you have any questions or concerns regarding this latest development? We'd like to hear your thoughts on that, and perhaps we can even read it out if we have some time. But Isani, let's move things along, because I think what's also equally interesting is also another story that we provided in our newscast last night, a 5-year moratorium on extractions from national land. Now, this was interesting because I think we really got to hear some of the challenges that are happening where extraction of logging is concerned. Some of the situations that these persons are put in danger as well.
So a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two or so ago, I did a story that was interesting, where a group of loggers, they were arrested and charged for illegal operations in an area behind the Monkey Bay Wildlife Sanctuary. This is the western part of the country, well, the western part of Belize district, should I say, right? And when you look at the amount of timber that was extracted from that area, and you look at the fact that the officers who did the bust and who were processing these loggers, they came under threat and the hostility that they faced, right? So if they are not working hand in hand with law enforcement, these men and women from the Forest Department are putting their lives at risk trying to stop these loggers from operating illegally. And even so, Sab, we're saying, look, there's a 5-year moratorium on logging on national land, but even with that, you have persons doing so on private land still illegally.
Yeah.
Right? I think the most important thing for me, though, the takeaway, if one were to ask what I believe the value in it is, we're extracting wholesale, but we're not discussing replanting. That's the important thing for me. Yeah. Right?
I just before you get to that topic, though, you said something that I think is important for us to highlight. The extraction of these logs on private land is still considered illegal.
If you don't have a permit, there's an entire process.
Yes.
Right? So even if you have, and you're operating on private property, you still have to go through procedures that are allowed by the Forest Department to be able to do that. Right? And look, at the end of the day, there's an insatiable appetite for lumber, right? For things that are made of
furnitures,
mahogany. You name it, it's there, right? And it's big business. There was an example that John Pinello Jr. used yesterday, where he was saying, look, if you go up on Facebook, people advertise bush stick. 500 bush stick for so much money, X amount of dollars. But again, nobody is discussing replanting. Because you're extracting and you're not putting back. What do you think will happen 10, 15, 20 years down the road? You will have denuded the entire forest if that's the case.
And I think that's the overall picture right there for me. A lot of people, they want to get that quick fix, they want to get these items that are already available. And when you think of replanting, a lot of these trees, they take decades to grow back to the maturity that they would have found them. And so it's important for people to also think long term, and the importance of having these regulations in place. It's for a reason, so that these businesses, whether you have permits, or hopefully you do have permits, so that you can be doing the same type of business 10, 20, 30 years from now. You have to replant. So the question is then, who goes about doing the replanting? If you go about extracting these logs, are you in charge of replanting?
Look, there should be an all hands on deck approach to this thing. And I'll end by saying this, right? I watched a little documentary the other day about how green Singapore is. The reason why Singapore is so green is because every person almost has a mandate to plant something, plant many things, right? So that you breathe clean air, so that you have this resource at your fingertips, quite literally.
And don't take it for granted, you know,
Yeah,
because
man.
there's been so many times you've traveled outside. Well, I've traveled outside, and you know, you could tell the difference in the air, Isani, when you come off that plane and you reach home. The air feels it smells so cleaner and clear.
Your lungs laugh with joy.
No man.
Try
Plant
come from LA and come back to Belize. You could tell the difference in the air.
Yeah, I wasn't calling the name, but okay. Well, speaking of going to LA or anywhere in the United States, there's also some developments coming out of some U.S. reports where countries require to post $15,000 for visa applications. Now, this is an interesting one because there's a lot of things taking place currently in the United States.
Yep.
I'm not sure how attractive traveling to the U.S. is right now, but there are more stipulations in place for certain countries if
And their residents, their
Yes.
citizens, right? So yeah, so the United States published a revised list, virtually tripling the number of countries whose citizens have to be able to present at least $15,000 when they apply for a U.S. visa.
$15,000, Isani, is a lot of money. Do you get that back at any point if your visa is approved?
But you have to show that you have it. Right? Or you have to put it up, so to speak. Like you know, let's say, a bond sort of like a collateral. Right?
Yeah.
You have to show that, okay, I have $15,000.
Some Belizeans don't even want to make that 300 plus investment to get that visa in case they're not approved.
Well, thankfully, Belize are the panelists, not as far as I'm
Exactly.
aware, right? So we breathe.
What would be
we
the
breathe a
reasoning
sigh
for some of
relief.
these countries, though?
Well, I think the United States has its reasons and several reasons. Now you mentioned earlier that there's a lot going on,
Yeah.
right? So in all of this, and I guess what sort of precipitated this was the crackdown on illegal entry into the United States, and of course, those who entered legally and overstayed their time there, perhaps with a view to relocate or resettle in the United States illegally. All of these are reasons why they say, look, here I go on. If you look at this particular country, a lot of people who are left from there, Koya, even if they Koya legally on a flight that says you're in December 1st, you're out January 15th, but then that person overstays and you can't find her or whatever, there's a pattern in this particular country. A lot of them people
Do that.
So they place them on a list that says, okay, you know what, if you're from, let's say for argument's sake,
Yeah.
Venezuela,
Yeah.
right? If you're from Venezuela, there's a likelihood that you're probably going to try to, overstay and not return to your home country. So we'll put you on this list. You have to present $15,000 as a bond that says you will apply for an American visa.
All right. Well, look out. Of course, we're not saying. We're hoping that Belize does not make it on that list, but this is just some interesting information coming out there. But that does it for some of the things we think you should know this morning. If you have any thoughts on either of them, you can let us know in the comments section as well. At this point, we move into our Eye on the Weather, brought to you by the folks from the National Meteorological Service. All right, today's weather forecast calls for sunny skies with a few cloudy spells. Tonight, skies will be partly cloudy to clear. Showers will be isolated and develop mainly over the north and central coast. In terms of temperatures, coastal areas will experience highs of 82 degrees Fahrenheit, then dropping to lows of 70 degrees. Inland will be experiencing very similar temperatures. For highs, at least, it will be 85 degrees Fahrenheit and then dropping to a chilly low of 62. You might want to pull out a layer for that. Now in the hills, very much chillier. I'm looking at that low over there, Isani. You can see it's dropping to a low of 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Somebody put out your winter clothes. And then, of course, for their highs, they're going to be going up to 76 degrees Fahrenheit. In terms of the extended forecast, though, for Thursday, Friday, and then the weekend, very similar temperatures throughout these days. For inland and coastal areas, highs will look like 83 and 87 degrees Fahrenheit, then dropping to lows of 76 and 68. On Friday, highs of 85 and 88, dropping to lows of 76 and 70 degrees for inland and coastal areas. On the weekend, you can expect temperatures of 84 and 87 for highs, that is for inland and coastal areas, then dropping to lows of 74 and 70, and very similar on Sunday, 82 and 85 for highs, then dropping to lows of 72 and 68. The sun rose this morning at 6:24 a.m. and it is set to set at 5:32 p.m. The moon set will take place at 9:47 a.m. and rise at 9:57 p.m. The sea state will be light to chop with winds blowing from east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots. And the tides, a low tide will take place at 7:18 a.m. with a high tide at 1:13 p.m. However, another low tide will take place at 7:07 p.m. and then another high tide tomorrow at 1:05 a.m. And that does it for our Eye on the Weather, courtesy the folks from the National Meteorological Service. Isani, back to you.
All right, great job, Sab. Guys, when we come back, it's all about saving lives with cervical cancer awareness. Stay tuned.
In the heart of the Kaya district, Calico Jacks is proving that sustainability and success can go hand in hand.
When Calico Jacks wanted to move to solar energy, the biggest difficulty for us was the finance. Belize Bank believed in our vision, and we are very happy and grateful that they gave us this opportunity for the financing.
Through the Credit Risk Abatement Facility, a partnership between Belize Bank and the CARICOM Development Fund, small and medium businesses can access financing for renewable and energy-efficient solutions with reduced collateral requirements.
Here at SCSB, we're grateful for Belize Bank to make it easy for our clients to go green. We're proud to work with businesses like Calico Jacks to help them lower their costs and their carbon footprint.
At Belize Bank, we are powering Belize's transition to renewable energy, one business at a time. Together with our partners, we're making sustainable financing accessible for all.
Belize Bank, financing a greener, stronger Belize.
This year reminded us that our work is so much more than communication. It's connection. Every time we supported a school, a youth program, or a community event, we felt the heartbeat of Belize. We met students who just needed someone to believe in them, and families grateful for a supportive hand. We saw communities welcome SMART not just as a brand, but a trusted friend. For us, impact is created through service, presence, and purpose. As we move into a new year, we remain committed to empowering our communities and sharing stories that reflect how SMART strengthens the connections that matter most.
That commitment to people drives how we build our products. We focused on delivering real value and flexibility. We upgraded our postpaid plans to include social media data, keeping you connected to your favorite platforms without the extra cost. For the prepay family, we enhanced prepay plans to ensure you get more data and benefits from every single recharge. Flex bundles now better match real-time budgets, improving affordability. We introduced affordable Mexico data bundles to keep you connected while traveling. We are listening, adapting, and ensuring you get high-value connectivity you deserve.
Great plans need a great network. SMART strengthened its promise of bringing people together by investing heavily in expansion. We added new towers in key areas, bringing a stronger signal and improved service to more communities. Customers along the coastal road in Blancano, Mountain Pine Ridge, and Cristo Rey now enjoy more consistent coverage, making SMART a reliable companion for every journey. Smart launched its fiber network in Sartineja, bringing reliable high-speed connectivity for today's digital needs.
At Smart, we strive to reflect the energy of Belize in everything we do. From celebrating 20 years of excellent service to exciting collaborations, we've shared unforgettable times. We've delighted you with our biggest giveaways and deals ever. Ads you could laugh and connect to, and launched a revamped website to make your digital experience faster and more engaging.
As we look forward to the new year, we remain committed to what matters to you most: the communities we serve, the connections we build, and the precious moments we all share. All these remind us of our true identity and steadfast purpose, bringing people together.
And welcome back. Our first conversation this morning, as I alluded to before our break, is about cervical cancer and raising awareness about this particular illness, this particular disease. Joining us virtually this morning is oncologist Dr. Ramon Yakab. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
And Happy New Year to
Happy
you,
New
sir.
Year. Season's
Happy
greetings.
New Year to you too.
All right. So let's begin by talking a bit about cancer awareness, more specifically, the need to know more about cervical cancer and how it can be contracted and everything that we need to know to prevent contracting cervical cancer.
That's it's a very good question, Isani. How can we prevent cervical cancer? I must mention that out of all the cancers, cervical cancer is the only one that we can actually prevent. It's the only preventable cancer that we have. And talking about cervical cancer is very important because it is among the most common cancers that we're seeing in Belize. It is the second most common cancer in women. And important to mention that it is a leading cause of death by cancer in women. To put this into perspective, most of the women who are diagnosed with cervical cancer are in their early 30s, 40s, and it's women who are at the peak of their life. I mean, they're productive women.
Yeah.
For each woman who's affected with cervical cancer, we have to see the social dimension to its impact. We're having orphan children, family disrupted. It goes much more beyond than just the disease. But the main fact is that it is one of those killers. It is one of the cancers that has a high mortality rate.
It's always alarming to me, Doc, when I hear that it's one of those leading cancers in the country, yet one that is preventable. Is there any studies or any type of information or data collected that we could be able to understand why this type of cancer is leading in such a way when persons can prevent it?
Yes, it is important. While we don't have particularly studies, we can mention that there are multiple factors that play a role here. One is prevention comes through the form of vaccination in children.
Okay.
That's the only way we can prevent HPV, cervical cancer. Two, it's detecting it early. Now, when I mention detecting early, I'm not referring to the cervical cancer per se, but for cervical cancer to develop, it takes years, generally up to 10, 15 years. Before that stage, we have findings that are suggestive of precancerous lesions. Even before it's cancer, it can be detected. And the alarming part is that the Ministry of Health, that the private sector, in order to screen, there are different tests, HPV testing, pap smears that are available for the general population through the NHI program, through MOH, through different settings. So screening for cervical cancer is widespread in Belize, and treatment for the precancerous lesions are also available. However, we're seeing here that challenges is when it comes to raise awareness. There are systems being in place and being placed, but the population is not taking advantage of it too. And factors that may influence it might be cultural, it might be that there is fear doing tests. We really have to sit down and make deep introspection as to why are women not doing screening.
Yeah.
Doc, the human papilloma virus, which is the culprit here in all of this, talk to us about the role, because when, as far as I understand, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, when a man has intercourse with his female partner and perhaps it's done unprotected, but he has multiple partners, let's say, that he can carry the virus and pass it on to the other person that he's sleeping with, perhaps the other person that he's sleeping with. Put that into some context for us to better understand the transmission.
Sure, I'd gladly do. So when we talking about cervical cancer specifically, we're talking about HPV. Now, there are over 200 HPV types. Out of those 200 HPV types, there are 12 specific subtypes that have been deemed carcinogenic, with evidence that it may lead to cancer. So there are 12 different subtypes that we consider as a high risk for cancer. Now, the population in general, 80% of the population is going to be exposed to HPV at some point in their lifetime. And our body is able to get rid of it around in 80% of the population. So while a person might be exposed to HPV by the year, and generally by 2 years, it's already cleared off from the body. The thing is to determine which type of HPV virus the body is being subjected to. So here, two important things. The subtype of the HPV is important because HPV type 16 and 18 and 45 are the ones that are most commonly related to cervical cancer. But even apart from the type is how long it remains in the body. And it has been seen that the more time the HPV is persistent, that we can detect it in the body for over 2 years, the higher the chances of developing a precancerous lesions. Now, you are right. Men are carriers. Now, in women, the cervix in itself undergoes changes in its environment, in its biological environment, that increases the likelihood of having changes. That does not mean that man cannot have changes. HPV is related, apart from cervical cancer, to cancer of the penis, the cancer of the anus, the cancer of the vulva, the cancer of the vagina, the cancer of the oropharynx, to other types of cancers. We also have to take into account risk factors too. It's people who are exposed to HPV that is persistent but have other risk factors, which may include chronic smoking, increases the likelihood of the body going through changes and predisposing to precancerous lesions. Up to a certain point, long use of contraceptives may also change the environment within the genital tract, and also the immune system. And why do I say that? Women who have a concurrent infection with HIV have a much higher risk of developing cervical cancer when they're exposed to HPV. Also, patients who undergo other medical conditions where their immune system is compromised, like people who undergo organ transplant, or who are on special medications because of rheumatoid arthritis or for other medical conditions, have risks for developing cervical cancer. So when we talk about cervical cancer, then it's not only the virus, but the specific type of virus is key. How long the body is exposed to is also key, and if there are risk factors.
But then, Doc, I have another question regarding what Isani would have brought up, because we have heard about the importance of getting vaccinations for HPV, but as youth. And in a lot of cases, the idea is that these would be young people who are not sexually active. Why do they promote giving young people the HPV vaccine so early?
And that's a very important question. Why is it promoted in children? You brought it up, that sexual activity. I mean, when they're placing the vaccine in itself doesn't have the virus. The vaccine has a virus-like particle that is similar. So when it is placed in the body, your body recognizes that particle that is similar to that of the virus. And when the body is in contact with the virus, it does not let it infect the body. So here, when we talk about children haven't been exposed to HPV because they haven't undergone sexual activity. The vaccine is generally, depending on which type we have, I do believe we have here in Belize the Gardasil 4, which covers for 4 different subtypes of HPV viruses, but particularly HPV 16 and 18, which are responsible for over 80% of cervical cancers. So the intention here is before the child is exposed to the virus, we vaccinate and give the body, and that child will have, their body will have protection against those particular subtypes. That's why it's generally recommended between 9 to 13 years. Does that mean that after 13 years, the vaccine can't be used? It can, because even though a person may have sexual activity, it doesn't mean they may already be exposed, yes, to a particular virus, but it doesn't mean that the rest they've been infected with the other type. So there might still be a certain degree of protection for the rest of the viruses that are not considered.
Doc, I think the biggest challenge here has been the lack of proper public awareness where the HPV vaccine is concerned, if we're talking cervical cancer. I can recall several years ago when the vaccine was being introduced here in Belize, it caused quite a stir because I don't know that parents were properly informed as to the purpose of the vaccine, separate from perhaps the traditional and the ethical considerations that ought to have been considered then. Because some people took it as, okay, if I have a daughter between the ages of 9 and 13, and you're telling me that she should be administered this vaccine, are you saying then that she's sexually active or she's preparing to be sexually active?
Yeah.
And so that created quite an issue among parents in terms of allowing their children to be vaccinated against this particular strain of virus.
And yes, there are different perspectives when it comes to social acceptance of the vaccine. However, that is not the case. The vaccine in itself does not, because I've heard that, I don't want vaccine to be used because it's going to alter hormones and it's going to make people go into sexual activity. It doesn't.
Yeah.
What the vaccine does is give protection against acquiring an infection. And we have to also be real. During their adolescence, during their early adulthood, they will have sexual activity.
Yeah.
We can't sugarcoat that.
Protected
They
and
will.
unprotected.
And it's better if that's going to be happening. At some point, we have to give them. It's better to have them protected from having a possible cancer.
How about the idea that if a person was given the HPV vaccine, perhaps they carry this misconception that they do not need to get their regular screenings, perhaps pap smears on an annual basis? What do you say to people that have that thought process?
No, that is not so. So people who undergo HPV vaccination, we do have to remember that the vaccine is covering for at least, depending on the type of vaccine used, it may be covering for 2 types of HPV viruses or up to 9. There are different types of vaccines. Now, even if it's covering 2, 4, or 9, we still have other HPV viruses that may cause cancer to a lower degree. So let's say that we have 100 patients. With the vaccinations, we're covering 80% of the possible persons who may develop a cervical cancer from a specific type of HPV virus. But what about the other 20%? They may still have an infection with one of those viruses not included in the vaccine. So the intention here is that they should also continue with their screening. Yes, screening may probably be a little bit less stringent, but they will require screening starting at the age of 30 and going from there.
How about women who might say, I'm not sexually active? Do I still need to do screenings?
If a woman hasn't had sexual activity at all, then there wouldn't be the risk of HPV infection.
Oh, so it would have to be none at all.
No. It's the persons who have a high risk of having an infection with HPV. That's the main point for the screening part. And talking about screening, an important thing to also mention is that they are doing HPV testing all over the country. And it's important to highlight that. That's a very important tool, especially when it comes to pap smears. I've heard sometimes a little bit of hesitancy to doing pap smears. So if women are able to do their HPV testing, which can be done at the clinics, or the government also has, the Ministry of Health has the modality of self-collection within their facilities. I mean, if that test is positive, then we know that women have been exposed to HPV virus, that they have the virus. And that is key, because if we have a woman, that we have a test that is telling me this woman has HPV positivity for 16 or 18, we know that that woman is at a high risk of developing a possible precancerous lesions by 3 to 5 years. So we have a lead time to do the test and see if in fact there is a possible precancerous lesions. So we do the HPV test. If that is positive, depending on the type of virus, the patient may go directly for a pap smear to see if the cervix has changes or not, and then treatment of the precancerous lesion, which is done in country. Or, depending again on the type of virus, they do a test called a colposcopy to review the cervix and see if there's any physical abnormality that may highlight a possible precancerous lesions. Sabrina and Isani, as during all the conversation, while we are talking about the HPV vaccination and HPV screening, I haven't really talked about cervical cancer because, and that's important to mention, because all of this screening part, it's not to detect a cancer, it's to detect the precancerous lesions. We don't want to be detecting cancers. When the person is detected with a cancer, that means that the person or the woman has been there without screening for quite an amount of years. And we want to change that. We want to talk about getting it before it becomes a cancer. Yes. Unfortunately, at my clinical practice, we're seeing the other scope. We're seeing women diagnosed with cervical cancer, but it's heartbreaking to see that almost, if 10 women come with cervical cancer, 7 have an advanced cancer that is not surgical. And that's the main issue. I have women dying because, one, we have cervical cancers diagnosed at a later stage when operations are not feasible, and they will require radiation, meaning going abroad for treatment. And the fact is that we couple that with poverty, and we have quite an amount of women dying because they don't have the finances to go abroad for treatment. But if we're able to strengthen, if we're able to make people recognize the need to do their screening, their need to do the HPV test, pap smears, colposcopy, we might be able to detect lesions even before it's a cancer.
perhaps
And-
that speaks to the culture. Perhaps that speaks to the culture, Doc. As you mentioned, there are a lot of these women who would find out that they have cancer, and you pair that with poverty, and it seems to be, just a grim result. But for a lot of people, men and women, they tend to not go to the doctor unless they feel unwell. They don't see that mandatory visit to go and do screenings and things like, preventing certain cancers from taking place. Is there any type of message that you could send to people tuning in that might have that idea that they don't visit the doctor unless there's something taking place within them that they feel ill, Instead of just doing that, they can go in and prioritize screening on an annual basis as well.
Yes. So my message here would be, first, to the parents, HPV vaccination is key, both for boys and girls, and it's being done at all primary schools. And I mean, it comes through the immunization program, through the Ministry of Health and the government of Belize for all children. So I'd suggest that we continue trying to raise awareness, but the vaccination is key in trying to end cervical cancer. And it's indeed needed for both boys and girls. 2, for women, it is important to recognize the need for screening and their different modalities. It's key to try to detect lesions even before they're cancerous. And this comes through doing your HPV test, doing pap smears if required. Now, it's before, Sabrina and Sani, we used to say pap smears for everyone, but right now it has been changing. The norm has been changing. We're doing pap smears for those who have the highest risk of developing a possible cervical cancer. And these services are available countrywide. And also for the women now that may have abnormal bleeding, unexplained pain, unexplained weight loss, discharge, you don't go for screening. You go directly for examination with your physician or your gynecologist, because there is always a risk of harboring a cancer.
All right, well, Doc, this has been a really, really insightful conversation. We know that January is recognized as a Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, but we want to extend this conversation even when the calendar flips. And so we thank you for the time that you took to speak with us here, and of course, you guys by extension. And we hope that we can continue this conversation even after.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
All right.
And we do hope the conversation continues.
Certainly.
All right, well, we have to take another quick break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, our next conversation is all about empowering the next generation of trade union leaders. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You're all set. I swapped out the water inlet valve and everything is running normally.
Amazing. So what will be the cost?
Oh, for you? There's no cost.
No cost? I'm flattered, but I'm actually married.
Oh no, nothing like that. It's actually part of our 1-year warranty policy.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Don't worry, it happens all the time.
Really?
No.
Belize's only full-service GE USA dealer. Full service, full warranty, full selection. GE Appliances. Good things for life. Available at Design Depot. All in one place.
We at Full-Tech Systems understand that technology isn't just a tool, it's a game changer. At home, smart devices and AI are revolutionizing daily life. In education, tech is making learning more interactive and accessible for students and educators alike. For businesses and government, it's driving innovation, streamlining operations, and unlocking growth, leveraging tech for better services, infrastructure, and security. At Full-Tech Systems, we help you thrive with cutting-edge solutions, partnering with leaders like Dell, HP, Microsoft, APC, Fortinet, Cisco, and Tomy 8. We deliver the right products for your needs, whether it's boosting efficiency, improving customer engagement, or scaling operations. Connect with us and let's drive innovation together. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you come for the price, but stay for the service.
In the heart of the Kayo district, Calico Jacks is proving that sustainability and success can go hand in hand.
When Calico Jacks wanted to move to solar energy, the biggest difficulty for us was the finance. Belize Bank believed in our vision, and we are very happy and grateful that they gave us this opportunity for the financing.
Through the Credit Risk Abatement Facility, a partnership between Belize Bank and the CARICOM Development Fund, small and medium businesses can access financing for renewable and energy-efficient solutions with reduced collateral requirements.
Here at SCSB, we're grateful for Belize Bank to make it easy for our clients to go green. We're proud to work with businesses like Calico Jacks to help them lower their costs and their carbon footprint.
At Belize Bank, we are powering Belize's transition to renewable energy, one business at a time. Together with our partners, we're making sustainable financing accessible for all.
Belize Bank, financing a greener, stronger Belize.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, "Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees and hypocrites! For you devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayer. Therefore you shall receive the greater damnation." You know, when our small granddaughter Bethany would come to visit us, she delighted in going into her grandmother's closet and dressing up and pretending to be a real grown-up lady. People like to pretend. I read the story of the driver of an automobile who smashed into another car in a public parking lot. He got out and wrote a note and put it under the windshield wiper. The note read, "I have just smashed into your car. The people who saw the accident are watching me. They think I'm writing down my name and address. I'm not." Pretending is a game that many play, and nowhere is it more perfected than often right in the church. Jesus found many pretending to be very dedicated by praying long prayers and doing deeds to be seen of men and rewarded by them. But he knew their hearts and condemned their pretentious and pernicious ways. The Christian should live in such a way that his life reflects what his lips repeats. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Dr. Bob Roberts and Christian Foundations of Faith. Sermon from God's
and sustainable energy. Let's start at the beginning. Independent power producers across Belize generate electricity using a mix of renewable and non-renewable resources. Electricity travels across a network of high-voltage transmission lines capable of transmitting electricity across long distances. Electricity then reaches your nearest substation, where it is adjusted to a lower voltage, making it safe to travel on the distribution lines you see in your community. From there, electricity makes its final journey from the distribution lines to your home, providing you with safe and reliable power when you need it. Belize Electricity Limited. We continue to serve you.
Come to banquet, find your way. Engines roar at the break of day. Volvo outboard surf the waves. Castrol oil is what they crave. Live with power, feel the sound. Heavy machines shake the ground. Riding Honda, feeling proud. Rev it up and shout aloud. Feel the wind against your skin. Stars so wide, let's begin. At banquet where dreams ignite. Gear up, let's take flight. Coolest power on owns our towns. JCB lifts heavy pounds. Find the tools to build your dreams. Benquip's got the best machines. Grip the wheel and never slip. Feel the rush, it's time to trip. Every brand you know and love. Benquip fits you like a glove. Feel the wind against your skin. Now so why, let's begin. At Benquip, where dreams ignite. Gear up, let's take flight.
Benquip, equipment, parts, service. We represent quality.
This Christmas is extra special for us at BB Insurance because it's our first. You welcomed us into your lives, and we couldn't be more grateful. Your trust means everything. From all of us at BB Insurance, thank you for being a part of our journey. Here's to many more holidays together. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
This year reminded us that our work is so much more than communication. It's connection. Every time we supported a school, a youth program, or a community event, we felt the heartbeat of Belize. We met students who just needed someone to believe in them, and families grateful for a supportive hand. We saw communities welcome SMART not just as a brand, but a trusted friend. For us, impact is created through service, presence, and purpose. As we move into a new year, we remain committed to empowering our communities and sharing stories that reflect how SMART strengthens the connections that matter most.
That commitment to people drives how we build our products. We focused on delivering real value and flexibility. We upgraded our postpaid plans to include social media data, keeping you connected to your favorite platforms without the extra cost. For the prepay family, we enhanced prepay plans to ensure you get more data and benefits from every single recharge. Flex bundles now better match real-time budgets, improving affordability. We introduced affordable Mexico data bundles to keep you connected while traveling. We are listening, adapting, and ensuring you get high-value connectivity you deserve.
Great plans need a great network. Smart strengthened its promise of bringing people together by investing heavily in expansion. We added new towers in key areas, bringing a stronger signal and improved service to more communities. Customers along the coastal road in Blancano, Mountain Pine Ridge, and Cristo Rey now enjoy more consistent coverage, making Smart a reliable companion for every journey. Smart launched its fiber network in Sartineja, bringing reliable high-speed connectivity for today's digital needs.
At Smart, we strive to reflect the energy of Belize in everything we do. From celebrating 20 years of excellent service to exciting collaborations, we've shared unforgettable times. We've delighted you with our biggest giveaways and deals ever. Ads you could laugh and connect to, and launched a revamped website to make your digital experience faster and more engaging.
As we look forward to the new year, we remain committed to what matters to you most. The communities we serve, the connections we build, and the precious moments we all share. All these remind us of our true identity and steadfast purpose, bringing people together.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. This is our second conversation, and this next one is all about empowering the next generation of trade union leaders. It's a virtual conversation similar to the last, but this time we are joined by Ashley Longford. She is the director of Young Vanguard, and she is also joined by Ella Waite. She's the president of the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, also known as the NTUCB. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome.
Thank you for having us. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Season's greetings. It's such a pleasure to have both of you here with us virtually this morning. It's exciting times. I was just speaking to Ashley, telling her how proud I am of her, seeing young representatives coming to the front to express their interest in leadership and speaking up for other young people as well. I want to begin with Ashley because, of course, this entire conversation is surrounding young people taking the lead through the Young Vanguard role. Talk to us about what Young Vanguard is and how you got yourself in this position.
Well, firstly, thank you for having me once again, and thank you for that question. So, to start, the way how I end up in this role was that I'm a part of CW. I'm a proud member of the Christian Workers Union. I've been a part of them for about a few months now, and I've been a part of unionism as a whole for about 5 years, actually, starting off with the student union and then becoming a member and a delegate from them. So that's one of the way I started off being a part of unionism and labor movement as a whole. I started off with student advocacy and I went into labor movement. But the way how Young Vanguard and the purpose of Young Vanguard is to empower, unite, and to educate 18 to 35 young professionals to be involved in unionism, to be educated about their labor rights, to be educated about the laws that they need to know, and to know about that, and to know about justice, and to know about stuff like that, accountability matters, and that they could be able to stand up in the workplace as well. And not only that, but the Young Vanguard is like a clear pathway into youth leadership as well, youth national development as well. It gives young leaders that they could be into youth leadership roles as well, and not only leadership roles but also union leadership roles as well. So it brings them up into have their succession plan, and also let them have the knowledge and experience that they could be able to know what their labor rights is, and know what unionism, like what collective bargaining, negotiation, things about unionism that they need to know as well. So that's about the Youth Vanguard. It helps them to be involved in unionism, and not only unionism, but just economic national importance as well.
So here's a bit of an irony then. So we have a fast-growing youth population, right?
Yes.
But it wouldn't seem that young people have the kind of interest or generate the kind of interest where they would want to be involved in governance, in leadership of any form, in understanding how the world works around them in terms of order and structures and stuff.
Yeah. I'll also add to that, Ashley, if you can hear me clearly. I think essentially what Sisani is saying is that for a lot of young people, the unions have not necessarily been an attractive area to venture into. It kind of felt like this older people, organization that you'd see older faces. But I wanted to also add to that because I know that you come from a family of unionists as well.
Yes.
Talk about that, the connection as a young person being interested in unions where you might not necessarily see other young people having that same interest.
Agreed. So for me, like I said, I started off with student advocacy. So that's one. Like I started off going into student unions and being in the purpose of unions. And then I had my family, I had aunts who are a part of unions as well, like who are part of BNTU. I had a very close aunt of mine who is a part of unions. So that kind of helped me and influenced me to push myself to be a part of something that justice can be served, honestly, and that unions really fight for what's right. So in that sense, the influence was very like quick, for me to make me join to be a part of something. And for me, like I said, my interest started with youth advocacy. Like I know we have, me and Sabrina always talks about that, me and Isani, when I'm on the show with Open Your Eyes. So it wasn't like something of a challenge to just join a union for me, because I truly believe in that we need to be heard. Honestly, that's the point of it, that young people need to be heard. And not only that, but citizens of Belize, that we need to be heard, and we need to be heard now. And not only to be heard, but to be listened as well, and to create solutions, because we can't just complain, but we need to create solutions as well.
Let's get the NTUCB president in on the conversation at this point. It would seem quite noble admirable even that the NTUCB is embracing young people as a part of this entire trade union movement. Talk to us a bit about that, Ms. Wade.
Hi, good morning, and again, Happy New Year, and thanks for the invitation as well. Just to give a little bit of how we got here. We'll be celebrating our 60th anniversary of the NTUCB in July of this year, 2026. And we have never had a youth arm. Yes, we had some level of interaction with youth, as Ms. Ashley mentioned, through her position at UB, but it was more of an observer position. There was no availability for them to make any decisions or to vote, but more of an observer position. So we realized that, just as Cecil mentioned, when we attend meetings, there is no room for young people. The persons that are attending these general meetings are more slightly over the age of 30 years old.
Yes.
And we know that the young people have innovative ideas. We need somebody to lead this organization, this Congress to in their hands. So when I became president, I brought up the suggestion to the General Council about having a youth arm, and it was very welcome. We realized it is more than overdue to have a youth arm. So we did, but we had to ensure that we do not just have a youth arm and getting people involved, but to ensure that it's a serious undertaking where they are going to be involved in making decisions of the NTUCB. So in order for us to do it, we would have had to make an amendment to the Constitution to include a youth director. And in that situation, we had to go through a process where we had to ensure that we created the wording of the article. We had to have two executive members or two general council members, supporting the amendment. And then we take that to the annual general meeting, which is the highest decision-making body of the Congress, and then have that amendment voted on. And honestly, it was an overwhelming vote of, I think it was basically 100% of the members attending voted on yes, having the youth arm and a youth director, which is a part of the executive now of the National Trade Union Congress of Belize. So the person, as in this case, Sister Ashley, was voted for at the AGM. She wasn't contested, but she was still voted in. She is now part of the executive of the NTUCB, so she now is at the table where decisions are being made, where we make recommendations to the General Council where they vote on. So she has a very important role. It's not just a role as a rubber stamp, where her is there to say she's a youth director, but her role is very serious and it will help us to progress as a union. Now, just to give you the concept of why Young Vanguard, because it does sound a little bit strange to say Young Vanguard, but it's a term that is commonly used, especially in political movements, social organizations, and of course, trade unions. It basically describes the youth wing or the youth leadership group that plays an active, forward-looking role in advancing the organization's goals. And in our trade union at NTUCB, Youth Vanguard will focus on, like Sister Ashley mentioned, educating young workers about their rights and responsibilities as workers, encouraging union participation, of course, and advocate for youth employment, fair wages, because I know the brother mentioned just now, why should young people want to be involved in union movement? If a young person and you're working, you would want to ensure that you have a salary adjustment every year, right? You would want to ensure that your wage as a female is equally compared to a male. So you want to ensure that you have good working conditions. Young people now want to work with different resources than older persons, right? Or older persons or senior persons in an organization. So you want to ensure that you have these resources to work with. That comes through a union. And of course, lastly, the most important, I think, for having a youth arm and a youth director is to prepare the next generation for union leaders. Because we have to ensure we continue this movement of the labor movement in Belize. It is in a risky position because we don't see young people joining the union, and that will entail, like I always tell our members, if we do not have a union, you do not have a collective bargaining agreement. And when you do not have a collective bargaining agreement at an organization, you do not have the benefits that you have, the benefits that are greater than what the labor law provide.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, Ms. Wade, because for me, when I saw the news of Ashley's appointment, I immediately just thought about continuity. It's so important for us to think of what the future will look like for these bodies, where, as we started the conversation, highlighting the fact that there's been this ongoing idea that unions in general are just for older people. Now we're seeing that shift with younger faces like Ashley's. I want to ask you, though, Ms. Wade, since you represent leadership within the NTUCB as president, what would you say is the strength of the NTUCB at this time, at this present moment in 2026, in providing real awareness to Belizeans where their rights are concerned?
I will definitely say having a woman at the helm is great, because it has not been it has been many decades that we have not had a woman at the helm of the NTUCB as the president. And I have to say, as women, I think we think more analytically. We ensure that when we go out and we speak, that we speak the facts. We do not speak just out of anger or negativity, but we more concentrate on the facts and ensuring that we get everyone involved in whatever information we need to get out there. As leaders of any organization, we have to ensure that we are honest. We have to ensure that we are respectful. We have to ensure that we want to involve and have involvement from young people, from senior people, from anybody that can contribute to ensuring that our country grows, and that we have from government, which we always have to go back to, that we have good governance, to ensure that we, as the workers of this country, can benefit from the limited resources we have from this country.
Yes. And in terms of future projects, can we expect anything coming out of the NTUCB, especially with Young Vanguard now in position?
Yes, right here in January, actually, the first initiative that Young Vanguard will be playing a part of is the COBEC, the Belize Educational Corporation. We'll be having a college fair, at the auditorium, at the UB auditorium. And they are inviting the NTUCB, and we decided to take along the Young Vanguard as well, because obviously that's where the young people are, and those young people, if they are not working already, will become permanent full-time workers in the near future. We want to capture their attention to ensure that they know what to expect when they go into the workforce, and that they know their rights. And I also like to remind people that college students, even high school students, can be employees as well, because they do part-time work. So once you work, you can become a member of the Young Vanguard. I know Sister Ashley will going further into how we will start to recruit them, because we need to do a recruitment drive. Just coming on the air, on the media, etc., posting on social media will not influence these young people that we need to get involved. We need to ensure that we provide them with information and the benefits of becoming union members, and not just benefits for them, but benefits for the country. I think people need to realize that when you become a union member, it's not just about me as an individual, but how I can make my country be a better place. Remember, unionism does not only, which we wish it would, but does not only concentrate on workers' rights and policies and etc. It concentrates on the national issues that we face as a country. If government does not use the limited resources we have wisely, that affects when I go and I ask for a salary adjustment.
Right.
That affects when I ask for a certain benefit, or when I want increase in maternity days. So we have to ensure that we keep a check on what's happening in our country, so that we as the workers also benefit from any good benefits that our country provides for us, any good benefits that is out there.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Waite and Ms. Longsworth, for joining us virtually. This is exciting news. Congratulations again to you, Ashley. We'll definitely be following what your journey will look like as a leader of the Young Vanguard. And we're just excited to follow along what is taking place in the NTUCB as well. We thank you so much for your time, and we wish you guys all the best.
Thank you.
All right. We take another quick break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, our next conversation is all about turning passion into performance. I actually want to make that correction. It's all about intentional living for personal and professional success.
submit your sickness benefit claim online and have a physical medical certificate? Here's how you can do it. First, go to ssbportal.org.bz and log into your My Social Security account. Next, on your dashboard, click Benefits and choose Forms. Review the requirements, then click Continue to proceed. Click Apply under Sickness Benefit to start your claim. Review and confirm your banking information. If it is not correct, select No and follow the steps to update your banking details. If your banking information is correct, select Yes. Next, if your illness is not related to an injury at work, select No and proceed to upload your medical certificate. Select your claim period and confirm your employer details. Read the declarations and click each to agree. Click Submit and you're done. A confirmation email will be sent to you. Your employer will also receive an email with your claim details and a request for your salary information. If needed, submit your sickness benefit claim online and receive real-time status updates.
Shop smart for your Samsung devices in Belize and enjoy benefits you won't get anywhere else. When you shop locally for your Samsung, all your devices will be covered by a 1-year local warranty. You won't get that when shopping with the other guys. When in doubt, always look for the Cellular World seal to know you're getting the real deal. Shop with confidence and enjoy your Galaxy knowing that it can be repaired locally at our Samsung Service Center by certified Samsung technicians using original parts and machinery. Even better, enjoy the best LTE experience in Belize, knowing that your Samsung devices are compatible with major local carrier networks. Get the ultimate Samsung Galaxy experience only when you shop from authorized Samsung resellers nationwide.
Electricity is essential for everyday life, but behind every outlet, a lot is happening to bring you safe, reliable, and sustainable energy. Let's start at the beginning. Independent power producers across Belize generate electricity using a mix of renewable and non-renewable resources. Electricity travels across a network of high-voltage transmission lines capable of transmitting electricity across long distances. Electricity then reaches your nearest substation, where it is adjusted to a lower voltage, making it safe to travel on the distribution lines you see in your community. From there, electricity makes its final journey from the distribution lines to your home, providing you with safe and reliable power when you need it. Belize Electricity Limited. We continue to serve you.
Unwrap the joy of crystal clear picture and sound from Iowa, the brand that offers you affordability and exceptional quality. Iowa has a wide range of exceptional products to choose from, such as TVs, speakers, headphones, home appliances, and much more at affordable prices that won't break the bank. Enhance your audio-visual entertainment experience with Iowa, and for your convenience, parts are readily available in country for hassle-free maintenance. You can find Iowa products at your local electronics store countrywide. Choose Iowa, the best in home entertainment and household appliances.
In the heart of the Kaya district, Calico Jacks is proving that sustainability and success can go hand in hand.
When Calico Jacks wanted to move to solar energy, the biggest difficulty for us was the finance. Belize Bank believed in our vision, and we are very happy and grateful that they gave us this opportunity for the financing.
Through the Credit Risk Abatement Facility, a partnership between Belize Bank and the CARICOM Development Fund, small and medium businesses can access financing for renewable and energy-efficient solutions with reduced collateral requirements.
Here at SCSB, we're grateful for Belize Bank to make it easy for our clients to go green. We're proud to work with businesses like Calico Jacks to help them lower their costs and their carbon footprint.
At Belize Bank, we are powering Belize's transition to renewable energy, one business at a time. Together with our partners, we're making sustainable financing accessible for all.
Belize Bank, financing a greener, stronger Belize.
This year reminded us that our work is so much more than communication. It's connection. Every time we supported a school, a youth program, or a community event, we felt the heartbeat of Belize. We met students who just needed someone to believe in them, and families grateful for a supportive hand. We saw communities welcome SMART not just as a brand, but a trusted friend. For us, impact is created through service, presence, and purpose. As we move into a new year, we remain committed to empowering our communities and sharing stories that reflect how SMART strengthens the connections that matter most.
That commitment to people drives how we build our products. We focused on delivering real value and flexibility. We upgraded our postpaid plans to include social media data, keeping you connected to your favorite platforms without the extra cost. For the prepay family, we enhanced prepaid plans to ensure you get more data and benefits from every single recharge. Flex bundles now better match real-time budgets, improving affordability. We introduced affordable Mexico data bundles to keep you connected while traveling. We are listening, adapting, and ensuring you get high-value connectivity you deserve.
Great plans need a great network. SMART strengthened its promise of bringing people together by investing heavily in expansion. We added new towers in key areas, bringing a stronger signal and improved service to more communities. Customers along the coastal road in Blancano, Mountain Pine Ridge, and Cristo Rey now enjoy more consistent coverage, making SMART a reliable companion for every journey. SMART launched its fiber network in Sartineja, bringing reliable high-speed connectivity for today's digital needs.
At SMART, we strive to reflect the energy of Belize in everything we do. From celebrating 20 years of excellent service to exciting collaborations, we've shared unforgettable times. We've delighted you with our biggest giveaways and deals ever. Ads you could laugh and connect to, and launched a revamped website to make your digital experience faster and more engaging.
As we look forward to the new year, we remain committed to what matters to you most. The communities we serve, the connections we build, and the precious moments we all share. All these remind us of our true identity and steadfast purpose, bringing people together.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. This is our third conversation and one I'm very excited about. I think it's very fitting for the new year as well. We are joined by Ms. Charlotte Neal. She is the director of the Belize Institute for Service Excellence, Leadership and Research. No stranger to you guys. She's been on the couch several times before talking about a variety of different topics. But this morning we are honing in on intentional living for personal and professional success. I think that kind of sounds like the best of both worlds, if I could say so myself.
Most definitely. Thank you, Sabrina, for having me. Good morning, Belize, and Happy New Year. It's 2026. Have you crafted those visions as yet? We are the Belize Institute for Service Excellence, Leadership and Research, and our vision is for inspired people who are serving with passion and excellence. And our goal is throughout the year to keep that passion, fuel it, keep it burning. And the best place to start is January each year.
I love it. And you know, it's quite fitting because if you guys would remember, I started my vision board last month. I'm hoping I did it with some of you guys. And I know that on that list, one of the things I really wanted to focus on for 2026 is to be more intentional. I also had in there to live in my purpose, to inspire. And I know that there are some of you who might share that very same goal as well for 2026. But to live intentional, it sounds like such a broad term. And I imagine it's subjective as well, because what it means for me to be intentional might not necessarily be the same for you. How do you go about living intentional in the first place?
Absolutely. So it sounds like a big thing. But for each of us, I believe you tapped in, it's personal. Because what success for me might not be success for you. So what we did was break it down into 3 simple steps
I love that.
anybody could
steps.
follow.
All right.
And we call it the VIP.
Okay.
That's it. VIP. The V for vision, the I for inspiration, and the P for plan.
Okay.
And anybody can follow those 3 steps, right? The first one, vision. You have to know, it's as simple as asking yourself, what you want? What you really want, right? Don't go into the how yet, but what I want. And one of the questions I ask people who feel stuck, I said, envision yourself, the same thing you're doing right now. You just continue to do that for the next 5 years, every single day. Now, fast forward 5 years, right? You're on that path, you're doing this. Where do you see yourself? Is it a picture that inspires you? Or is it you say, if I continue like this, I want broke, poor, hungry still. I'm going to be bored out of my mind. I'm not living my full potential. What do you see, right? If you don't make any change, if you change nothing at all for the next 3 to 5 years, what happens?
Do you find that a lot of people come to you and they're indeed in that position, stuck, and they don't know exactly what they want, but they know that where they are right now, they're not necessarily happy?
Exactly. So that's where you sit with people and try to help them to craft that vision.
Okay.
Now, one of the things that we believe in is everybody has something that they aspire to. There's something burning inside of you. There's things that maybe you discarded because, work said, hey,
or
you need to make some money.
Maybe
or
that
you
dream is
tell
too big.
yourself it's too big. We don't believe there's any dream too big, though.
Okay.
We don't believe there's any dream too big. So dig deeper, and go back sometimes to your hobbies, things you like. I like what Steve Harvey said. Steve Harvey said, what do you do? What are you good at? Is it that you bake cake and people say, man, this cake just nice, like not nice and it's cake. Hey, you bake cake. How do people start with this crazy barbering? Like somebody said, man, what they start? Home, the cutlery, bread here. Go back to those little things. Sometimes we overcomplicate things and then we're like, oh, it's too big, or what are those little things? For me, what I'm doing today is something I started from the time I was 4 or 5. I like talk. I write poem. Even when nobody tell me the poem sound good, I'm recording myself on those old-fashioned tape recorders.
Yeah.
Right? When you press the button and you have to pause and stop. And I recall, I said, but I used to do this. This is a passion for me. What stopped me, right? Obligation, work, etc. But getting back to that passion has been the best thing ever.
I want to try to squeeze in as quickly as we can what your own personal story and your vision for your life look like that found yourself in this profession. Because for a lot of us, as I mentioned, the dream just feels too big, guys. I might have a dream that I'm too scared to even say out loud because I feel like other people might find it crazy.
Absolutely. As we look at that vision still at the V, for me, I always wanted to own my own business. I always wanted to do professional development training, inspire others. When I was in my teens, I was fixated on opera, the opera show.
Oh.
And I used to watch opera. I was like, I want to
like
be
Oprah
on
Winfrey.
Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
And I'm like, I can do what she's doing. And I used to practice being Oprah. I remember many years ago when some Belizean woman who I think they discovered something, the most wanted.
Yes,
I
remember that
invited
episode.
to go on Oprah.
I know what you're talking about.
I was like, that's my dream. Why are they sitting on Oprah's couch? I belong there. So there's that burning desire from very early that you might reflect on when you go back to it. And so for me, I always wanted to do it, but there are things in the way. Family, finances.
Sometimes the very job that you have
the
that you're
very
too scared
job that you
but
have.
it pays the bills, Miss Neal. So what do you do
the
then?
Bills, right? So for me, there's a concept I'm working on this year called From Good to Great.
Okay.
So you have a good job. You have a good job, right, Sabrina?
Yeah, I have a good job.
You have a good job.
A lot of us have good jobs.
Good. But the good, we say, is the enemy of great. Good is the enemy of great. Because I had a good job. I was the HR director. I was doing good things. But there was a part of me that wanted more. What is that greater for you? And so while I wanted this, I was stuck in the good. And then I got fired from my HR director job. And I went home, ate cookies, crumbled up in the fetal position and cried and picked up the newspaper, of course, to start looking for another job. And then it dawned on me, you don't need another job. You have talents, you have skills. Why don't you try and do your own thing? And the first question in my head is where the I comes in, the inspiration. What if you fail? My teenage son in high school at the time said, Ma, what if we can't pay our bills? What if we go broke?
What if?
What if, right? And so for me, I had no choice. I felt I had no choice. I didn't want to go work for somebody else. Because there are some organizations, and it's not every place you work, but some people just want you to warm the bench full of seat. They don't want the changes. They don't want to embrace some of the things that you bring to the table. And for me, I'm like, do I just want to fill a seat?
Yeah.
And the answer was a resounding no. And so I started the Belize Institute. I registered the company, went full speed ahead, and the I, again, inspiration. What do we have to do, and what did I have to do? One, get rid of the distractions.
Yeah.
The distractions, right? And so what I've been doing and trying to get people to do when it comes to the I and the inspiration, we've instituted the 5 a.m. Belize Club, straight out of the 5 a.m. Club book. And I've been following and studying Robin Sharma. And he's awesome. And he talks about distraction.
Yeah.
And he talks about distraction being the enemy of creativity.
Could the I also have something to do with being self-motivated, staying, the course and being focused, surrounding yourself with people who have similar visions as well?
Exactly. That's a part of it, right? But one of the things that you will find before you even get to the outside sources is the inner source.
Yeah.
And you have to work on those distracting habits. You have to work on what you tell yourself. Because like you said, we tell ourselves, my last name is Neil. My last name is Daly. You know any people that, those are not the names. So then you create that name then.
Yeah.
What are you telling yourself, right? I use a simple analogy sometimes, like all of us trying to lose weight, being on a diet, right? And then intentional says, okay, I'm going to show up, I'm going to do the work, to go to the gym, but then I go to the bakery and I say I'm going to buy a pack of wheat bread, and then I end up with 2 nice, delicious cornbread or a patty.
Yeah.
That's not intentional.
So the I is for intentional,
The
not
I
inspire.
is inspire, but a part of it is being intentional, right?
Okay.
When we look at inspire, you remove the distractions.
Yes.
Intentional says, hey, what am I telling myself? What are those things that I'm not doing that I know I'm supposed to do? Then the self-talk says, maybe you can't lose weight, Shirley. Maybe in your family, like, that just big bone people. Like, how you talk about lose weight and your big bone?
I've told myself that before.
Yeah, but then you realize it has little to do with the big bone in your family and more with the big bone where you put in your plate almost every day.
So at what point do we get to planning, the P and the VIP?
Absolutely. So after you've tried to remove all those distractions, you make yourself intentional, you surround yourself with people that will inspire you, books that will inspire you, then you move to the P, and the P is the plan, right? What's the plan? What's the plan?
I love a good plan.
I like that you said the vision board, and I believe in the vision board. We have a free vision board session coming up on the 15th, the holiday, so take the holiday and sit down to work out that vision. But I find that it can be broad if left alone. So when you've identified those things that you want, you have to then sit down and look at that plan. What's the plan? What's the plan? What's the plan? And make the plan as simple and measurable and easy to follow as possible.
Do you find that a lot of people get stuck at the vision board, the collage, and not follow through with the plan? So it's just kind of like this big frame that you'd have in your room, in your living room, on your wall.
Exactly. And that's why the plan is effective. Make it simple. Don't put big steps. Like, this year, this is what I want to do. And then you make that plan for that.
Yeah.
And then again, back to the intentional. And you have to keep reminding yourself, this is where I am, this is where I want to go, this is what I want to do. And like you have to be your biggest source of motivation, even though you're going to get that motivation from outside sources, that intrinsic motivation that goes back to your vision and say, no, this is the way I want, this is the way I want. And I want it more than anything else.
We opened the conversation by saying that we wanted to steer it along the lines of intentional living for personal and professional success. But there are some people who might say, you can't necessarily, you have to separate the two. You can't necessarily be happy working and also be, intentional living as well in your personal life, because for a lot of people, they just show up to work to have those bills paid. And then you can separate the other part. You can try to enjoy your life personally. Can we actually live intentionally in both areas?
Absolutely. In fact, intention from one area fuels intention in the other area.
Okay.
I find when I'm working on my personal goals, I show up to work happier, right? After I've gotten up at 5 a.m. and gone to the gym and bust a sweat and I never lose no pound, but I feel like, I kind of work, pump up, I'm motivated, I'm more inspired. Now, if I wake up, drink some coffee, eat 2 donuts, span away, and I kind of work, it's like, listen, by 9 I crash out. Like, why want to bother me? I don't have the same energy. So one, when you're working on your passion, that personal project that you have, there's inspiration from within. It doesn't die at the door when you come to work.
Yes.
So sometimes when we do even work with companies, we say don't just focus on the professional development of your staff that's related to what they do at work. Get those other little things in, right? Their personal development. Talk about that. Do sessions with them regarding that. And you will find that there is something that spins off, right? Yeah. Inspiration doesn't come on and off because you're at work now.
I'm so happy that we have you here on the couch, Ms. Neal, because I remember when I was closing off 2025, I was looking to what I wanted to see myself be in 2026, as many people do at the end of the year, reflecting. And I got a bit overwhelmed because there's so many things that I want to take on, and I didn't know necessarily how to begin it all in January.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what the approach should be. Should I look at it quarterly? Should I look at it half year versus half year? Is this the importance of having people like yourself to guide us through this?
Absolutely.
Because I was struggling.
It's called the power of one thing.
Okay.
You want to achieve so many things and you might end up achieving none. Pick the one thing that's going to move the needle forward for you. What is that one bigger of all those things? Pick one. Now, it's not that you're not going to do the others, but the one will become your focus, right?
Okay.
So Robin calls it the 90-91. And he says for 90 days, spend 90 minutes a day on that one thing. That one thing until you start seeing, So it might not have to be every day, but you make sure it's 90 days, one thing, and you spend a considerable amount of time every day on that one thing, moving that needle forward.
And I should see my other goals fall in place?
You will spend time, but not as much time. This is the focus, this is the goal, this is the drive. And usually that's the, again, 80-20 rule. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing that, like for me, my 80-20, my 90-91 is my business, my bread and butter, my entrepreneurship. Those are the things that my 90-91. I'm going to spend other times on health, family, religion, etc. But my big thing that's moving the needle forward is that entrepreneurship drive, growing my business, right? So find that one thing, and it's not that you're ignoring the others, but in a line of priority, what's the biggest priority? All 5 can't be your priority. Because that's where you get sidetracked, trying to figure out, it gets messy. So find your one thing.
Well, the good news is we're only 1 week in January so far. We still have 3 weeks to go. We're still in the first month of the year. And for some people who might not have ironed out the details of what they want intentional living to look like for them, how can they reach out to you?
Definitely. So the best source for us is our Facebook page. It's the Belize Institute for Excellence on Facebook. And there you will find a lineup of our January offerings. The free vision boarding session on the 15th of January. Our 5 a.m. BZ club, which starts at 5 a.m. on
For you
the
early risers.
Thursday, January the 28th, Tuesday, the 28th of January. Once a week we meet for that. And then we have a training session called From Good to Great.
Okay.
And it's for those people who are already working on those goals, have an idea, but they want to move to that other level. Those are some of the things that we are able to offer you.
All right. Well, this has been such a wonderful conversation. I'm sitting here and I'm pondering on what you were asking about with working a good job. I think I'm working a great job. I really enjoy what I do. But as the name suggests, we're striving for greater.
Greater, exactly. So you've gone another level. So it's good,
We're
great,
striving for
and then
greater.
greater. I like that.
This was such a pleasure talking to you, Ms. Charlotte. Always a pleasure having you here. I'm excited for you guys taking on intentional living this 2026 as well. We have to take another quick break, though. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This Christmas is extra special for us at BB Insurance because it's our first. You welcomed us into your lives, and we couldn't be more grateful. Your trust means everything. From all of us at BB Insurance, thank you for being a part of our journey. Here's to many more holidays together. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
This year reminded us that our work is so much more than communication. It's connection. Every time we supported a school, a youth program, or a community event, we felt the heartbeat of Belize. We met students who just needed someone to believe in them, and families grateful for a supportive hand. We saw communities welcome SMART not just as a brand, but a trusted friend. For us, impact is created through service, presence, and purpose. As we move into a new year, we remain committed to empowering our communities and sharing stories that reflect how SMART strengthens the connections that matter most.
That commitment to people drives how we build our products. We focus on delivering real value and flexibility. We upgraded our postpaid plans to include social media data, keeping you connected to your favorite platforms without the extra cost. For the prepaid family, we enhanced prepaid plans to ensure you get more data and benefits from every single recharge. Flex bundles now better match real-time budgets, improving affordability. We introduced affordable Mexico data bundles to keep you connected while traveling. We are listening, adapting, and ensuring you get high-value connectivity you deserve.
Great plans need a great network. SMART strengthened its promise of bringing people together by investing heavily in expansion. We added new towers in key areas, bringing a stronger signal and improved service to more communities. Customers along the coastal road in Blancano, Mountain Pine Ridge, and Cristo Rey now enjoy more consistent coverage, making SMART a reliable companion for every journey. SMART launched its fiber network in Sartineja, bringing reliable high-speed connectivity for today's digital needs.
At SMART, we strive to reflect the energy of Belize in everything we do. From celebrating 20 years of excellent service to exciting collaborations, we've shared unforgettable times. We've delighted you with our biggest giveaways and deals ever, ads you could laugh and connect to, and launched a revamped website to make your digital experience faster and more engaging.
As we look forward to the new year, we remain committed to what matters to you most: the communities we serve, the connections we build, and the precious moments we all share. All these remind us of our true identity and steadfast purpose, bringing people together.
Alrighty, welcome back. This is our final conversation, and it's all about turning passion into performance with hip hop. That's new. We are joined this morning, no stranger to you guys, by Miss Karen Vernon. She's the organizer of a hip hop workshops that are set to take place for Congo dance. And also with us is Martin Ixora. He's a choreographer and a hip hop dancer. Guys, thank you so much for joining us and welcome.
Thank you so much.
Now, I started by saying that's new. Technically, it's not, but I know I don't see much people in Belize busting a move to hip hop songs, right? Isani said he didn't tap into it. He listens to hip hop, and I think I share that same sentiment. But talk to us about hip hop. How popular is that, and who is this workshop for?
Well, the workshop is for everyone and anyone.
Okay.
And hip hop isn't popular right now at all.
In Belize or?
In Belize.
Oh, yes.
In Belize. You know, it used to be back in the day.
So?
Yeah, it used to be.
I know it's popular worldwide,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, it's a different dance culture, and it's a culture that we would like to see happening in Belize. You know, we have young dancers, and I'm sure that a lot of them out there can dance and can hip hop. So Martin is here to do some workshops with these dancers.
When I think of hip hop in Belize, I think of Masters of the Floor,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
all those programs that saw many young
Exactly.
people come out and express
Where are
themselves.
they? Where are they?
Where
Yeah.
are they?
Yeah.
Where are they now?
I reached out to some of them. One person showed up, like there was a couple that I thought really would have, but didn't. So maybe they come out this evening.
Yeah.
But so I realized that it's something that we have to now build from the ground up.
Now, when we think of hip hop dancing, there's so many other like sub-genres within that.
Yeah.
You think of the crunk, you could crunk, you know,
Popping, all of that kind.
Pop and lock, you know.
Already.
I think of so many things, and then there are so many other little trends that would come about with hip hop dancing as well. But for you, Martin, tell me about your style of dancing, especially since we just highlighted that there's so many areas that you can tap into.
Yeah, right. So me personally, I'm mainly in hip hop freestyle.
Okay.
Which evolved in the 80s, because there's like so much history about it, like how the different streams connect, like the different communities that were doing it, mainly in the Bronx, you know. And I really like to root myself back there, because I'm also from Venezuela, so you know, I like to put in like my song Wawanko and everything that I grew up with, right?
Yeah.
So that's that, but also like I'm always super happy to learn about any other style, and this is also what makes it so beautiful, to be able to bring in any kind of flavor you want to season it with, you know?
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I was able to have some workshop in Creole dance, Brockdong, right? And I was like, yo, you have it all there, you know? You just have to get in tune with the music, with the groove, but like actually this is the root, you know? This is where everything come from.
Yeah.
In the end, you know how history was, right?
What introduced you to dancing, particularly hip hop?
Okay, so I think the first contact was actually YouTube. Yeah, it was a video of the battle Juste Debout. It's a battle that is about top stats, which is everything that is not breaking, right? That is concerned as a hip hop culture, dance. And I was watching a battle that was popping, and there were two dancers, Damon Frost and Spider Salah, and they were doing all this kind of stuff, you know, that everyone knows, but they were like the masters of it. And I was like, oh my God. And I was in my room like practicing and stuff.
Yeah.
And then finally, I would say the most important points were like my first jam in actually Germany, where I migrated to, with Keramika, which is a crew. And I was like, oh my God, like ciphering is a whole other world, because you know, I came like from couple dances, contemporary, I did theater, but this was whole other thing. Like no one cares about like the outside, it's just the circle, you know, like what happens there, and yeah, that's it.
How do you bring this energy and this wealth of knowledge in hip hop dancing and offer that to a Belizean audience, the persons who want to be a part of the workshop and learn from you?
So today at 6, we're getting down at Bliss Center, And yeah, I'm really looking forward to anyone, any level, any age, any whatever, you know, just join. And so what my approach is mainly like sharing the foundations so people are able to then build their own hip hop within. Yeah.
So how would you go about setting that foundation? You know, for newbies like me and Isani who know absolutely nothing about what to do when you want to dance hip hop. What would you start with?
Yeah. So for me, or how I learned or got into the culture more and more is really like the groove, you know. The groove is the first thing, the feel to the music. So I actually love to go mainly just working in circles, you know, and just following the vibe, not explaining too much, but like rather leaving it to the body, because as I said, like the breakdown, you know, is everything is in the bodies of the people here, you know.
Yeah.
It's everything already there. Just people have to like
Feel it.
And like realize, you know, sometimes it's difficult to realize that you already know something when it has a different name.
That's so true. Now, I'm excited to see how this will be received by people here in Belize. Ms. Karen, you said that this will be a series of workshops, so not only one. How can people get involved, and what can they expect throughout the course of these workshops?
Well, actually, it's 2 workshops here in Belize City. We had one yesterday, the first one, and we have one this evening at 6. But I think the difference with our culture, as Martin mentioned, was the freestyle. You know, like he had them form a circle, and each person, you know, you go in and you just vibe. And some of the dancers found that a bit difficult to just do that. So yeah. I think that's something that we have to overcome. One of the main things we have to overcome, because as he said, we have the moves.
If I could throw this in, right?
Yeah.
I think the circle has always been intrinsic and foundational to hip hop. That's where the cipher, that's the cipher.
Exactly.
So if you're thinking about freestyle MCing, that's a circle.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you think about breaking,
That's
a circle.
Yeah.
So the circle is a significant part of the actual movement. And if you look at the 5 elements that form hip hop, that is also
That's
a circle.
right there.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
And I was telling him it's similar because we have the sambai, which, you know, it's something similar, but our dancers are used to the traditional type of moves, so you know, they are more comfortable doing that. But you know, they were a bit hesitant at first to try the hip hop, but you know, once they did it, they got into it, and everybody was vibing, and
that was like that's the most blissful thing to see, you know, like when in the beginning people are like, oh damn, okay, how is this, how do I feel confident, and then in the end, like, and no one is thinking of this anymore, but like just feeling themselves and sharing themselves, and that was amazing to witness, you know. And one of the things that I do is I start like with couples, you know, so you have one person you're engaging with, you're exchanging with, and then you go into 4 people, into 8 people, until it's like the big cipher, you know, because if you have been into a cipher, you know how it is. Like a small cipher is something, but the big one is like a circle of fire, you know, that proves you and really uplifts you in the best case.
You gotta fit in, but you also gotta be bringing something new and different from what everybody else is doing.
You have to share your energy. So you give and you take,
Well, the last workshop is today at 6 p.m. and it's open to everyone, as you mentioned, all age groups, anyone who just wants to learn a bit of hip hop or try something new to express themselves. Is there a fee associated with it?
It's $5 per person.
Okay. And how long is the session, the workshop?
Yesterday was 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Well,
6 to 8 p.m.
6 to 8 p.m. It sounds like it's going to be fun, as you can see on the screen. This is just, I won't promise that you're going to be doing that when you're done. This is just an idea of some of the vibe that's going to be coming out of the workshop. Guys, it's such a pleasure having you here.
Can I just quickly thank
absolutely, thank whoever.
Ambassadors Terrace, who have been hosting him these past couple nights since he came in. So thank you, Deb, for hosting Martin for this hip hop workshop.
All right. And thank you guys as well for joining us. And we wish you guys all the best.
Thank you so much. You too.
All right. Well, we do have to wrap things up at this time. It has been a wonderful show. We want to say thank you to everyone who joined us and also you guys for locking in and staying with us. It is January 7th. And if you're celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to you. If you'd like to give a birthday shout out or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send us an email at oye@greaterbelize.com. You can also catch us on Facebook, that's Open Your Eyes BZ, as well as Instagram for behind-the-scenes content, that's OIE Belize. You can even call us or text us on our OIE phone number, that's 675-2555. But please, do us a favor and join us again tomorrow when you open your eyes.
You start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
And your hearts open.
have a wonderful Wednesday, Belize. We will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.